Hey, what's up, folks? Listen. Secure your relationships. Yeah, secure your relationships. There is something on the horizon. There's something, I don't even want to say on the horizon, there's something that has come. Um, and I think that where we are in our lives right now, it is extremely important that we secure our relationships. There's a lot of talk, people are talking about insecurities and, oh, I don't want to deal with an insecure person and I don't want, whatever. But listen, I think we need to pay attention to that to a certain degree. There's a reason that everybody maybe feeling insecure, or there's a reason that that's having to come out. Twofold. One is sometimes we say that not wanting to have to deal with an insecure person is because we're the ones that cause the insecurity. The other piece to that is that we are living in a world and living in a society where there is very little security. There is very little that, and what we're looking for, what I believe our soul is really looking for, is that sense of safety, that sense of security. Everyone's now talking about self this, self that, self whatever. Do you know that the word self-care, it really came from the idea of people not actually really having access to care, right? So it's become a trend now, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but it's like it's become a trend now where everyone I'm making sure my mic was on, is pursuing this self-care stuff or whatever, and it's become this, everything is self-care now. You going for a walk is considered self-care these days, and not that it's not. And I know I sound a little bit turned a little bit regarding it, but from a mental health perspective, sometimes I feel like it's a slap in the face to people who really truly didn't have access to care that they needed. But everybody's saying that because everyone there's this huge, huge turn towards a sense of individuality and selfishness. And it's not meant to be that way, but there's this huge turn towards that, and everyone doing whatever they need to take care of themselves, right? And that's really not how we were designed. Yes, you're responsible for yourself, but there is an element to which we're responsible for one another. And I personally believe, and I know that many will argue this, and I can stand alone on this, I personally believe that it's somewhat equal. We were called to be interdependent. So there's a level to which this stuff should come together, and that both are necessary, both are needed. And don't want to necessarily get lost in whether it's a 50-50 or whatever, but the truth is both is needed in order for us to really live a whole life the way that it was really truly designed to live. So when I say secure your relationships, what I'm saying is do your best to remove anything that would cause one another to go into spaces that are unhealthy. You can't control, some aspects of this, but you can do your part. And part of doing your part is making sure that you secure your relationship. There's these ideas sometimes that, you're not responsible for making sure your partner is secure, making sure your friends, the people in your life is secure, but that's a lie. That's actually a lie, right? If that was not the case, there would be no reason for you to be trustworthy. There would be no reason for you to be your best self. There would be no reason for you to be. We play a role in one another's lives that we will not admit, or that we seem to not want to admit or take ownership of. But that being said, let me go into this real quick. Just a few things regarding how to secure your relationship and what that might look like, and what that may, what that may entail. Secure relationships, some define it as this. They say it's a safe place where both people are getting their attachment needs met, right? Both people are content and relaxed, right? And when I'm saying this, listen, I'm not just talking about your significant other. I'll give a few things for significant other specifically, but the things that I'm outlining right now can apply to any type of relationship that you will find yourself in, right? But it's they're content and relaxed. Now, don't confuse that with being complacent, all right? A lot of times we just get complacent in our relationships. We're being complacent and always walking, or either, walking on the edge, walking on eggshells, and this is that and the other. But there should be a level of comfort that comes in the relationship, but not complacency, right? But there should be that contentment and that being able to be relaxed around one another or whatever. If that's not the case, then it's hard to be secure in that relationship, right? But here's some things. Here's 5 good things that we can add to this. Highlight to make your relationships more secure. We are prone to always highlight the bad stuff. We're prone to always talk about, sometimes we don't speak until something bad happens, right? And I'm guilty of that. I'm definitely guilty of that. And it's like, well, why say anything? It ain't nothing, but it's like we have to begin to highlight the good things, right? So that everything that comes out of your mouth when you're really sitting down to have serious conversations with your partners or your friends or whatever, it's not always about how much they need to change and how bad they are, but to actually truly highlight the good things and communicate the good things to them that are there. Letting them know you're grateful for them. Listen, gratefulness is a huge thing. Letting people know is good for you, right? Because you're practicing gratefulness, but it's also good for them to hear that you're grateful for them being in your life, right? So that's one way that you can start to secure your relationships. Another thing is, don't be playing these games. Listen, people. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I didn't want to call them back right away," or "I didn't want to answer them right away because I don't want them to seem like they got the upper hand or that they got the." Stop playing these games. Quit playing these games. Seriously, you're playing these games and you're going to find yourself by yourself. And not only do you find yourself by yourself, you also are creating things for people. You're creating space between you and someone else. You're causing, in some ways, honestly, you're causing trouble, right? When you do that, there's no need to do this. This is not about hierarchy or this is that and the other. If you're feeling them, let them know. There's no need. I'm gonna wait 3 hours to respond to their messages. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let's not do stuff like that. Don't play these games. And games can go in mind games that we typically tend to play with people. Quit doing all that. Quit doing all that. All right. Practice vulnerability. This is the third thing. Practice vulnerability and sharing what's going on inside. What's going on inside you? Share. Your relationship should be able to be safe space for you and the other person, right? That doesn't mean that we're going to always like every conversation that's happening, everything that's going on, everything that's, you're not going to always like every piece of these things, but these things are important that you share what's happening in you. We shouldn't be going this alone, right? Life. This is the real purpose for relationships is to be in community so that you can become the best in your higher self. But if you're doing everything in your head, everything is hidden in your heart alone, then you're really missing some of the depths and the purpose of all of why we're together in the first place, all of why you have these friendship circles, all of why you have this significant other, all of why your family is really there. So really practice vulnerability and sharing what's really going on inside. Don't deal with things alone. Your relationship should be safe space for you and the other person, right? Share your dream, share your desires, your dreams, and your devotions. Come on, y'all. All right. And then the other thing here is be trustworthy. Listen. Everybody priding themselves on the fact that they don't trust nobody. This is not a thing to pride ourselves on. This is not a healthy way to live or healthy way to be. That puts us into survival mode. Not only that, being trustworthy would include being transparent. Be transparent. Kill all this shady behavior that we doing, but they got to guess what you're doing, where you're going, who you with, what. Now, again, I know a lot of people are against this because if I'm dealing with an insecure person, but again, sometimes you're the person that's causing the insecurity or helping to feed it instead of helping to heal the person from it, right? So, but kill shady behavior. That's a reflection of you, honestly. So anyway, kill some of this shady behavior. You're dropping in people's DMs and this is that and the other. Stop acting like nothing bothers you. This is another way that you become trustworthy. Share what's going on in you. Some of us are too cool for school. Some of us is too cool, to make it look like something is on our hearts or on our mind. But believe it or not, when you don't self-disclose, it's very difficult for somebody else to disclose. It shows that when you self-disclose, it shows them that it's safe for them to self-disclose. It gives a level of security to your relationships that you have with people. We have to do these particular things in order for humanity to thrive the way it was designed to thrive. Stop looking at all of this as if everybody's just individual and they totally just responsible for themselves. People have trust issues because somewhere someone is untrustworthy. It may not necessarily be you that have done it, but this is what we all come to the table with, whatever. So be trustworthy, all right? A lot of this areas where we and that's something on you. The other person doesn't. It's proven to them in a way, but generally that's a character alignment for yourself to be a trustworthy person. All right. Again, and that comes with being transparent, killing shady behavior, watch and be mindful of how you're responding and acting around other people. How can I say this? If you're a gossiper, people are probably going to think you gossip about them too. We gotta put, and this brings me to the last one. Be Put forth intentional effort. We think these relationships are supposed to just happen automatically, and that people are just supposed to automatically feel totally safe with us and totally safe. You have to be intentional about this stuff, making an effort for this or whatever. Don't let your relationships be one-sided. If you're the only person that's making effort in this relationship, trying to see it thrive, trying to build connection, trying to whatever, then you're going to have an insecure relationship. Somebody's going to feel insecure at some point because they're going to think they're the only one that really ultimately cares about it. So we have to allow, bring forth this intentional effort to build a relationship, because one thing that we misunderstand a lot of times, we think that love is just something you fell into. The truth is, the depth of this is, love is something we build. Relationships are something we build, that we begin to, that we secure, that we set foundation to, things that we strengthen. Right? This is something that we actually have to put effort into. All right. And a lot of times we just rather have the in love feelings do everything for us. We rather have the magic do everything for us. But your true authentic power that's bigger than magic is when you put forth effort and intention. Your spirit, everything within your spirit rises to the occasion and runs to make these relationships thrive and flourish the way that they need to flourish. So that's just some tips that you can do for just securing your relationship. Psychology Today gave us some things, and I don't necessarily say that I have to, that the way that these are laid out that you would do them exactly this way, but there's some variation of this that I think that we should have, that they offer. That was the ones that I gave you, but here's 10 ideas to make a relationship more secure. And this one is more specifically kind of geared towards romantic relationships or partnerships or whatever, but you can take these variations and apply them to any type of relationship that you may have. But one of the things is, I personally believe, that we need to, that our relationships are worthwhile, and that we should do whatever it takes to really make sure that they're strong and that they're strengthened and healthy and connected. All right. Now, here we go. Here's one thing that they say, and this is from Psychology Today. Make sure the lines of communication are always open. And some of these will coincide with what I've already said, but make sure the lines of communication is always open. If your love life is not working, talk about it. Talk about it. Don't just run away from it. Talk about it, because sometimes there are things that we have blocked in that it's not that you're with the wrong person. It's just that we're not having the conversations that we may need to have, or things may not be coming out the way that they need to come out. So talk about it. Don't be afraid to actually talk about it. And although I do know it can be scary. If you have a problem talking about it, you will have a problem doing something about it. All right. Other than just run away. All right. So deal with the awkward moments and discuss what's going on, or what's not working, or what feels, odd or weird or whatever. Number 2, make sure your love life is working. Your love life is in working order. All right. This does not mean that you need to compromise who you are in the core sense of your being. All right. It means that you need to find a balance and techniques that works for both of you. All right. If any sexual trauma has occurred, then you need to seek out help. Find you a therapist that can help you, that specializes in those areas, and seek counseling. See, we think, again, a lot of times most of our ideas just run away instead of fix the issues. Get the things that's going on, get them fixed, folks. Because you're just going to leave this relationship and go to another one. All right. But all of these are all still things that we can do to help make our relationships more secure spaces to be. Right. Number 3. Was that number 3? No, that was number 2. Here's number 3. Always behave appropriately when in the company. This says of the opposite sex, but it could be of the same sex. It depends on what your orientation is, and depends on, the interactions. And again, like I said, this is more so geared towards a romantic couple, but you can take these things and apply it to any type of relationship. But it's like, always behave appropriately when in the company of others. How about that? Just leave it like that. Behave appropriately. Don't be flirting and telling all these extra sexual jokes with people and, whatever. Remember that also this, because we're in social circles a lot of times and everybody smoke weed today, everybody drink, everybody, a lot of people do. It's like, but be mindful that sometimes that those things reduces your inhibitions. So then you start saying stuff that you really, again, they say that alcohol and all that stuff make you tell the truth. what's really there, whatever. But again, if those particular things are talked about in your relationship, then, whatever. But we got to be mindful though, because people say the alcohol, blame it on the alcohol, whatever. And those things though, believe it or not, it reduces your inhibitions, and it can cause trouble. It can cause trouble in your relationships. This is ultimately going to be about you being your most essential self. All right. You may be looking at it as, well, I'm not feeling just, again, like I said, to be dealing with all the insecurities and whatever. Listen, I'm talking about you, and I'm talking about your reflection, how you do contribute to your relationships. Number 4, if you constantly think about cheating, get the appropriate help. That's a problem. If you're in a committed, devoted type of, I prefer the word devoted, but a committed or devoted relationship, and has some level or type of monogamy to it or some type of commitment to it, and you're constantly thinking about stepping out of it or whatever, and that's where you've decided to be, then you need to get some help. It may be something going on that you need to get some help with. I'm just gonna leave that one at that. All right. Number 5, remember that sex is not dirty. Sex is not dirty. So many people, I remember being in my relationship and I said to my partner, it's like, I want to be able to give you your innocence back. Now, that doesn't mean that makes you a virgin again. It means that it gives you the ability to put sex, all of the fun, the swinging from chandeliers or whatever, into just a proper context, into a context where whatever your soul and your heart can actually be like, this is liberty, this is freedom. It's a little weird, it's a little something I don't normally do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like I'm being in sin or dirty or, doing something I shouldn't be doing. So remember that sex is not dirty. If your partner wants to try something new, at least consider the idea. If you open up to doing new things a little differently, you may find that you enjoy it, and you may find that it actually strengthens and strengthens your bond. That's actually one of the things for sex. But if we got all these hangups, we can't do that, we won't do this, we won't do, and again, I'm not saying just totally go against all of your whatever, but just kind of, we need to reshape our minds. Some of us are sex negative, and remember that sex is not dirty. And then number 6, plan time for intimacy. Romantic date nights and getaways. Both these activities go a long way to keep the magic alive. That's their word, not my word. I don't use magic as much. But keep the magic alive. Make sure to make the entire purpose of your outing or your date or whatever romantic, about connecting in that kind of way. All right. So again, some of these things, there's variations of this that you can do however you want to really do it. But I think these are good points to kind of pay attention to. You don't have to take them word for word. Number 7, don't put yourself in positions of being alone with people who really that you really are attracted to. Like if there's somebody that if someone other than your partner has the ability to turn your head, then you need to safeguard yours as your loving partner. It's your job as the loving partner to look the other way. It's your job to manage those urges, which may mean I need to look the other way, because they do. Everybody, your partner ain't the only person that's fine, baby. Your partner ain't the only person that can get you riled up. Your partner ain't the only person that can get you going. But it's your responsibility to make sure you manage that, right? This all goes in, and when your partner sees that and they see that you have a level of self-control, and when you can get off and you bring yourself back, that gives security. That helps you to secure your relationships, folks. All right. Number 8, don't hang out with folks. Then again, this is how they stated it. Don't hang out with friends or coworkers who are being unfaithful. Would you want your kids to hang out with swingers? The same holds for adults. If your partner knows your friend is cheating, it's natural for the thought that you might be doing the same thing to cross their mind. All right. So depending on the conversations and things that you have, you kind of just want to be mindful. I would say be mindful of folks that's just out there loose, what we would call loose. Just be mindful of it, because it can affect your relationship in some way. Again, I ain't telling you to get rid of all your friends, and I hope they're not saying that either. But again, this is what it's ending. Number 9, they say I love you. Say it often. Look into the eyes of the person you love and tell him or her that you are in love and want to keep on being in love. If you feel that you've lost those feelings, tell your partner you want them back. We think that doesn't happen. Love sometimes feels stale, like the in love stuff. Sometimes it'll feel stale, or that high will go down, and then we think, oh, the relationship must be over. No, tell them you want them back. Tell them that you want them back. If you both put your heart into it, you'll reconnect on a deeper level than you did before. I'm telling y'all, listen, when you open your heart up and this vulnerable and you share heart to heart, you make connections that you will not imagine sometimes was even possible, because most people don't deal heart to heart. We deal head to head, and we deal in hierarchy, or we deal trying to, put ourselves above somebody else. Anyway, when we deal heart to heart, we really can make deep, truly deep connections. We were designed that way, to connect in that way. Number 10, treat your partner like he or she is special. They are, right? Treat them like they are special. Making your partner feel special is an essential ingredient to making the lifelong love recipe work. When someone makes you feel loved, you are very unlikely to look for it anywhere else. All right. Again, I'm speaking to you. All right. I'm not talking to the partner. I'm talking to how you can help to make your relationship more secure. And if you're not willing to do any of these things, then maybe we shouldn't be in a relationship like of these things. But I don't believe that that's really the ultimate truth. But we have to be willing to align in these ways, to present ourselves as trustworthy in these ways, to present ourselves with self-control, to present ourselves with what's necessary to build healthy relationships so that we can have them. And when we present ourselves as our highest, most essential self, then we give our relationships a secure ground to thrive on, right? Again, you can't control the other person and what they're going to do, how they're going to receive it, but align yourself. Give yourself the virtues and qualities that will make the relationship thrive and make it a secure place. All right. So that's something. They have this little note here. It says preventing infidelity isn't something you have to worry about when you and your partner stay communicative about your desires, your dreams. Oh, I said that earlier, about your desires, your dreams, and your devotions. All right. So, it's not just about infidelity here. This is also about just mental health, period. Because I'm looking at things from a relationality, a full relationality standpoint, but I also, being a mental health professional and, counselor and stuff like that, I'm looking at what's happening to us. Listen, we have to take this stuff seriously. We have to take it, to the degree, secure your relationship. Your soul will thank you for it. And listen, I know other soul will thank you for it. We are really created to be interdependent. And I know sometimes we try to get away from that, and we try to, and a lot of people like to use the word codependent. And some of these words are really taking us away from one another. All right. So we were designed to be interdependent, which simply means we need one another, folks. We need one another. And I think that it is our jobs to make sure that we help to secure our relationships, to be good gardeners and be good gardeners to provide ground where our relationships can actually thrive. And we can get out of this survival mode of relating and into the thriving mode of actually relating one to another and giving each other the love that we truly, really need, I'll say deserve, and definitely that we are worthy of. I am love for you, and I pray and hope that you will continue to do your God's honest best to align in being